Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. The last video we talked about introduction to CSS, talked about CSS syntax, CSS selectors, and talked about the three ways to add CSS to our HTML document. And lastly, we talked about CSS comments. Okay, so this video will be talking about CSS colors and CSS background. So let's get right into it. Okay, so what I've done here is I create a folder and named it CSS. I named it colored and background. Then I created an HTML file and a CSS file. Okay, just as usual. I believe you should be familiar with this right now. Okay, so in the HTML file, let's create the template for our document. HTML. Okay, and the next thing is to link our CSS. Okay, style sheets, then href styles.css. Okay, so we have successfully linked our CSS. Okay, so now let's start with CSS colors. All right, let's create a div tag. Let's create some HTML elements. Let's say div, let's say h1. All right, let's say CSS colors. Okay, so let's just create two p tags. Okay, let's say paragraph 1, right, paragraph 2. So there are different ways of how we specify color in CSS. Okay, the most common one is using predefined color names. So for example, this h1, let's style it by giving it a color using predefined color names. All right, we'll say h1. You know, this is the way we select an element. If you did not watch the last video, I recommend you watch the last video first so you can properly understand this. Okay, so let's say color blue. Right, so this particular way of defining color is defining color using predefined color names. Okay, let's see the browser and check what we have. So I'll start the live server. Okay, it's not working. What's going on? Okay, there's an error here. Sorry. So let's remove that and save it. Okay, you can see the color is blue. Okay, so this particular way is defining color using predefined color names. All right, let's put the comment here so you will understand. We talked about comment last class. So let's say predefined color names. Okay, now the second way of defining color in CSS is using RGB value. Okay, RGB means red, green, and blue. All right, so let's show an example. Let's give this p tag a class name. Okay, let's say p1. No, let me just say, yeah, p1 can be anything. All right, so let's create a comment. Let's say RGB value. All right, so remember the way we take class name is, you say dot, that is period, then the name of the class name, say p1, right? Yes, p1. Okay, so let's give it an RGB value color. Right, so let's say RGB, and remember RGB means red, green, and blue. Let's just say 90, 90. Okay, there should be comma, should be separated by comma. So it's like a gray color. Okay, so let's check the browser. You can see it is like a gray color with paragraph 1. Okay, so another way of defining colors in CSS is using X value. Okay, so let me show you what that means. So let's give this one a class name. Let's say class p2. Okay, then come down, let's write a comment X value. Okay guys, these comments are very useful when you are writing codes. Okay, it makes you remember things and it helps others. If in case you are working in a team and you will be using comments a lot, so you can help your teammates and they can understand your code perfectly. But let's continue. So let's say color, right? The way we give an X value is we say it starts with an hash symbol. Okay, all X values start with an hash symbol. All right, so let's say um EEE. Okay, I think this is like a white color. All right, it's like a gray color. Can't see very well. But actually you don't need to start learning X value. Okay, if there's a site I recommend, let's go to the site colorhunt.co. Okay, this is where I get all my color palettes. So it's a very useful site. Okay, you can see different color. If you need this color, when you hover on it, you will see the X value. Okay, you can just copy that. Let's go back to our code. Let's paste it here. Remember to put the hash symbol. Okay, you can see color appears. All right, so this particular site is a very useful site when you're in need of colors. Okay, show you the color and the X value, so you don't need to cram all this X value. Okay, so that's basically everything about color. Okay guys, so let's talk about the CSS background properties. Okay, so the CSS background properties are used to add background effects or elements. All right, so let me show you what it means in the browser. First of all, let's create a div. Right, this time let's give it an ID of, let's say, container2. Okay, instead of the div, let's give an h1 tag. This is CSS backgrounds. Okay, all right, so let's come to our style and let's target the background property. Remember, when you are targeting an ID, use hash symbol. Okay, then the name of the ID, which is in our case container2. Okay, so the first thing we'll talk about is background color. Okay, so the way we give background color to this particular container, we say background color, okay, red. So start your live server. Okay, come to the index.html, start a live server so you can see what we have in the browser. Okay, so you can see the background color of this h1 tag is red. Okay, which is the container2. Right, so let's give this container a height so it will be bigger. Right, so we'll talk about height. soon in the next videos. Let's say 200 pixels. All right, so you can see it clearly now. The background has a background color. The div has a background color of red. All right, so there's another thing in background we need to talk about, which is opacity of an element. All right, so opacity takes value from 0.0 to 1.0. So the lower the value, the more transparent it is. So let's say opacity of 0.3. Okay, you can see everything in the container has an opacity of 0.3. So let me increase the opacity to 0.7. Okay, you can see it's darker. So the lower the opacity, the more transparent it is. Then the next thing we'll talk about is background images. Okay, so let's give a background image to this container. All right, so let me comment this out. All right, so let's say the way we say it is background dash image. Okay, then we'll say URL. Okay, then we'll put the particular image URL here. So the way we get an image URL is let's get an image online. Okay, then let's go to /com. Okay, let's just get this particular image. Right click on the image, then copy image address. Okay, then we'll paste the address inside of this quote. Okay, remember to put this quote. All right, okay, then you paste it. Okay, so when you save it and go to the browser, you can see the image. Let me increase the opacity a little bit. Okay, you can see the image, but if you notice, it appears 3 times. Okay, 1 2 3. So the way we avoid this is we use a property a style called background repeat. Then do it on the we say background repeat and we say no repeat. All right, so when we save it, you can see it just showed it once. All right, so another thing you can say is background size. Okay, cover. So you notice covered everything. Okay, and mind you, this particular container does not have any width, so that's why it's just taking the full width of the screen, but we can give it a width. We'll talk in depth about height and width in this series later. Let's just say width of 300 pixels. Okay, in fact, let me increase the height to 300 pixels. Okay, let's say it's too small, 600. I want to see the image very well. Okay, perfect. All right, so you can see the image properly. So now if I comment this background size cover, if I don't put it in, you see the difference. All right, the image is not perfectly covered. All right, it's not covered in the container. So let me put it back. All right, you can see the whole image showed in the container. So that's basically everything about CSS background, and I believe you understand perfectly. Okay, so thank you and see you in the next video.